When you're going down the process of hiring an editor for your podcast, first you want to ask yourself, are you a video first podcast or are you an audio first podcast? I remember when I first wanted to hire what I thought was an editor. I wasn't sure. It was right when I was launching my action sports company, and I wanted to put music on, like I was going to record things. I didn't even know how I was going to record it, and I wanted to put music in those files. So I went to Craigslist and I asked some people, I'm like, are you the person that puts music in the video file? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I need you. And so, I mean, we all have to start somewhere. I had no idea what editing was when I first started, and I understand that you probably are at the very beginning of your journey too. So we're gonna get this handled together. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I did when I first started my career is I went on Fiverr. There's a site called Fiverr, which I'll include the link below. And on Fiverr, I found an editor. He actually still works with me today, if you can believe it. But now we don't go through Fiverr. He's like my hands-on editor. It's been several years, but it is still so economical to hire an editor through Fiverr when you're just getting started. Fiverr is a great way that I found my intro music, my outro music, but I didn't just choose one Fiverr contractor. I had to choose many to figure out who was the best one, right? I looked at all of their reviews, because they have reviews underneath their profile. I looked at samples of their work, and then I tested them out, having, close to no expectations, but giving them all the exact same instructions. And I just checked out who had the best work, who had the best deliverables to me. So that's Fiverr, right? Later in my career, and I wanted a more integrated team, and you go to Upwork.com and you look for audio editors, and then you just select. And again, I did the same process, gave everybody the same instructions, but this time what I had was I had a test project. So I had my editor who was already working with me because I needed a second editor, and I had my editor edit one file, like our original file, and then so we knew what it sounded like, what it's supposed to sound like, and then we went through a bunch of different editors testing out and found out who delivered the best quality in the best time with the best communication. I must have tested, I want to say, like 10 to 15 editors, and here's the biggest mistake that people make. There's two types of editing. There's and ah removal editing, and then there's story production. I look for story production. I could edit out and ahs on my own. There's also great programs that do that, like Descript. You could find all the and ahs. There's tons of great programs that you could find and ahs. There's Balance Cast if you just want to get like some baseline audio mastering. So, and again, all these tools, so many tools, they'll all be included below. But the point is, you either want a quick fix, which is like something you do yourself, or a and ah editor, or you want real legitimate story production. And when I look for editing, I look for story production, because all the other stuff I could pretty much do on my own. So for story production, Upwork, I tested out all the different contractors on Upwork with the exact same project. Remember, I evaluated for their communication skills, for how fast they delivered, their quality of work, and also how enjoyable it was to work with them. And they all had different budgets, right? So I had to evaluate by different budgets to see who would work best, right? And so I actually ended up hiring two people. One had his editing wasn't that great, but he had such great workmanship that I was like, okay, we need to train you and we'll fit you in somewhere. And then the other person is still my editor today for my podcast. He's amazing. And I still work with my original editor from back in 2013, 2014. So I say 2013, 2014 because I started producing the show in 2013 and it launched in 2014. So yeah, it's been really, really great. Some other options to outsource podcast audio editing. There's a great service called Hatch. Use hatch.fm. They do audio editing and for unlimited audio editing for your podcast. If you're doing a video podcast, there's a service called Video Mako, VIDEO MAKO, UMIAH.com, and that's also unlimited video editing. When you're going down the process of hiring an editor for your podcast, first you want to ask yourself, are you a video first podcast or are you an audio first podcast? If you're a video first podcast, you're going to want a video editor. If you're an audio first podcast, you're going to want an audio editor. It's two absolutely entirely different art forms. They're not one and the same, right? There's so much that goes into video, from color correction and transitions, like Cam, who's editing this for me now. Like, it's totally different. He's probably like splicing in little things here and there and like logos dropping in and all this kind of stuff. Totally different art form than audio editing. Audio editing, you're listening for the sound. You could tell on this YouTube channel right now, I don't prioritize audio. You hear the helicopter above right now. There's the car washer down the street. I'm testing out my DJI Osmo Pocket to see how I like shooting with it. So you really want to think about, when you're creating your art form of your podcast, how important is audio, how important is video, and which one are you leading with? So now that you've decided whether you're an audio first podcast or a video first podcast, and you want to go after and hire your editors, a lot of people will say that they can edit, and all that they're really doing is they're throwing up a file, taking out a few likes and ums, and then they're saying it's done, or they don't know how to level the audio files so that all the tracks of your audio, so if you have multiple different people speaking, that they're all at the same level of audio. There's so many different elements that go into audio editing and video editing. Every creator is created differently. Like Cam, who's my amazing editor for this, and we're learning how to edit together with my YouTube channel, you'll see like his style incorporated into how he edits. And I look for style. My background is a skateboarder girl. I grew up with action sports and skateboarding, so I'm always looking for somebody a little bit edgier and poppier, and that knows how to integrate personality into their video footage. I'm not looking for something soft and fluffy. And as an extra bonus, I actually have a list of editors. So if you're looking for your fast path, just get the list. Just Espree, give me the list. I don't want to do the research on my own. Just shoot me a message on social at Espree Devora, anywhere on social, or email me espree@hey.com, and I'll send you the list of podcast editors. Thank you for being a part of my experimental vlog style edu podcast, whatever this is called. Cam is a champ for editing this for me. I appreciate you so much, and remember, your intuition is your oracle. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Shout out to Current for sponsoring today's video. The future is ours. Pursuing our dream, becoming a podcaster, it takes courage. It takes planning. And most of all, it takes money. I often lose track of both my personal and business expenses. It's the worst. To fix that, I've been using Current to pay for all my business purchases. It's how I stay organized. And the coolest part, no ATM fees, and I get cash back and rewards when I spend. I want to focus on being a creative, not a bookkeeper. Current has simplified money management. It's the modern way to manage my money. Get Current and learn more.